This is Faith Howard Mooney, VP of Member Engagement at the Mortgage Collaborative. And this is inside the TMC family. So today I have with me Kevin Conlon, who is the VP of Secondary Markets at Mutual of Omaha Mortgage. Why I have such a hard time with your company name, I don't know, but I do. I'm so used to, you were in network before with us.
Yep.
And we are so happy that you came back to join us, and we hope to get you back into your collab lab. So Mutual of Omaha Mortgage joined us in May. Um, we reconnected and had a great conversation at MGIC's MBA annual event at the Country Music Hall of Fame. But would love it if you would just share, with the people that are watching, kind of what your business model looks like, and then we'll get into some more personal things about you.
All right, great. Now we're happy to be back. I love the TMC, the group, the collaboration, the sharing that takes place is amazing. And so, like we need this in our industry. We need to be able to share ideas and best practices. So it's rising tides raise all boats. So I think that's a good way to describe what you guys are doing in the members at TMC. So that's cool. So yeah, Mutual of Omaha Mortgage, we're a combination of consumer direct and retail. So they've got, and then also now a small little wholesale division we started, 6 months ago. So it's still kind of in its infant stages, been growing. But so consumer direct, a little bit of wholesale, and then retail is kind of the makeup of Mutual of Omaha Mortgage.
Yep. And so share with us kind of people's stories, their first stories about how they started any career and then how they got into mortgage is always so interesting. So what was your first job that you ever had?
First job that I ever had outside of mowing the neighbors' yards or lawns. I actually got a job at the age of 12 working at a grocery store. There was a local grocery store, Capri Market, that was behind my house. And we'd go in there as kids and buy candy, little lemon heads or whatever. And then I got to know the owners because we'd go in there a lot. And then he asked me if I could help him with something because I was small, and I went in there and helped him, and then got a work permit and worked there on the weekends. So my first job was at a grocery store.
I did not know that you could work that early.
You can only work, I think, 8 hours a week or something. It's pretty restrictive with the work permit, but it was a job. I made $2.85 an hour. And I was like, I thought it was real money at the time.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. At 12, that would be a pretty good gig for sure.
Yeah, you can get a lot of lemon heads for $2.85.
That is so true. So true. Share with us how you got into mortgage then.
Like everybody, I think by accident, wasn't something I went to school for, but I started, I think in 2002, I was a recruiter, and I was working with an agency. Actually, in 2002, I left the agency and went on my own and started my own company, recruiting company. And I was recruiting for all different sales jobs for friends that I knew that had companies or worked as sales managers. And I started recruiting for loan officers for a small local broker. And then he became a correspondent lender and then kind of grew. He transitioned those offices to another INB. And then I was like, wait a minute, if I could recruit for this guy. So I went and got my broker's license. I thought I'd do that. At the same time, a friend of mine started another more independent mortgage bank, a guy that I'd got to know over the years. And so I actually went to work for him for a few years, kind of recruiting and help them build that mortgage bank. So
that's how you got sucked in, and you never leave.
That was in 2002, I think, as a recruiter. So it's a sticky business for sure.
It sure is, because of the people. I think it becomes that way.
Absolutely.
Is there one thing that you wish at, kind of the beginning as you started, that you wish that you knew when you got in that may be helpful to people coming into the industry now?
I think what I realize now, what I wish I knew then, I guess, is how important home ownership actually is. In so many facets, right? Obviously, it's important to the person that's getting a house, but it's also important to the community as well, right? The pride of home ownership, that's real. When people own their homes and they're working on their homes and trying to improve it, make it better, make the community better. That's amazing. For wealth, right? I mean, you see all the stats on individuals, the accumulation of wealth, renters versus home ownership. those are things that are, I mean, go beyond just the actual transaction, right? People
Yeah.
want to fix their housing expense for the next 30 years, which obviously is also a good thing as well. But in that, they're creating, communities and neighborhoods, as well as, building wealth for family, and sometimes generational wealth, if it's done properly. So yeah, so just how big it actually is to actually be a home ownership, and what it actually creates for the community, as well as, wealth growth for the individuals.
Yeah, definitely. When you think about it from that aspect, it gives a different sense of your purpose within the mortgage space than just a transaction. I think that's always good when you can remind yourself of that, for sure.
Yeah, when we bought our first house, we were thinking like, oh, the same thing, that we need a cost of, it's cost just as much to own versus rent kind of thing. But then as you start to put down roots and like, do I really want my kids to go to this school? And you really start thinking long term, and it just kind of becomes different. So the actual home ownership journey itself is just how important that is. It's not just literally a transaction.
Yep, yep. Love that. If you weren't in mortgage, what would we find you doing?
I don't know. I sell real estate. I don't flip houses. I don't know, something of that nature. But it's probably related to the real estate industry now that I've been in for so long, and I can't imagine doing much else. So if it was anything, maybe selling real estate.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So after this great conversation that we had, which was kind of silly, in Nashville, um, I we talked about a specific dog, but I thought I would ask you to share either your favorite dog story or what your favorite type of dog really is.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay. Favorite kind of dog, I guess, is the one we have now. So he's a little bit of a bougie designer dog. Kind of, I mentioned the story. The other dog got hurt, and he was a rescue, and it was kind of a fluke. He ended up hurting himself, and so it was a matter of he broke his back, and so we had to put him down. But at the time, they offered surgery and a lot of costs, and it was just the amount of money that they, it was like $2,500 just for an MRI to find out if he could have a $12,000 surgery that may or may not work, kind of thing. And so I said, well, let's not spend the money on this dog. Let's refocus. We'll get a new dog. And then they called me on it about a year later, and I had to buy a bougie dog. So I own a little mini Australian Shepherd who's a lot of fun. He's the right size. He's about 30 pounds. And, if anything ever comes up and I need to scoop him up, I can scoop him up. He's pretty easy. So he's got a lot of
Yeah.
energy, but outside of that, he's a good dog.
Yeah, we had such a fun conversation about dogs and making those promises that you think aren't ever gonna, no kid is ever gonna remember. In your instance, so I think it was your wife.
Yeah.
But
She's like, remember? And I was like, oh, I do remember, but I didn't know you were going to hold me to it. But here we are.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, Stacy Wider, who runs our learning and development program, and I just had the most awesome time talking to you. So we appreciate you doing that then. I also appreciate you doing this today. It is absolutely fabulous. We were all really excited here at TMC when we knew that you were going to come back and be part of the TMC family. So we really appreciate you.
Thank you. I love it. It's a great place. I'm looking forward to continuing the relationship and learning more.
Thank you so much.